All right, Jillian, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you. We're discussing your celebratory offerings that you did in your cafe for Indigenous Peoples Day. And I thought it was really interesting the approach that you took to educating yourself about the type of cuisine that you wanted to feature. And I thought it was really interesting that you took the initiative to go out of your way and actually talk with local tribes and be exposed to their cuisine and their approaches. So before we get started in on that, I'd really love for you to introduce yourself, tell us how long you've been with Thomas Cuisine, what do you do, give us a little bit of your background and maybe how you came into food service.
All right. My name is Jillian Robinson, and I've been with Thomas Cuisine for a little over a year now. I'm a food service director here at United General. My background is in food. I've been in the industry since I was 14, started with my dad, who gave me my passion for food, and just grew from there. I've worked at stadiums, Seahawks, Mariners, Sonics when they were around. Done a lot of traveling through companies, so I've got to be exposed to a lot of different ethnic foods, and my love for ethnicity of foods kind of grew from there. I'm Native American, a quarter Chippewa from the North Dakota tribe, and so bringing the ethnicity, the localness of foods, that really speaks to me, and that's what I was trying to go for with this most current project.
Tell me a little bit about, you mentioned you got your love of food from your dad. Do you want to tell us a little bit of background there?
Yeah, my dad, he's been a chef from when I was little, even before then, and he worked in a little British restaurant. And I just wanted to get in the kitchen, and he gave me that basis. Yeah, he's a great man, and I learned a lot from him.
You're based out of Central Woolley
Yes,
and you're a chef manager within healthcare.
yes.
So that means we have a cafe and patient services. So we work within that clinical setting to provide for patients. And then also we provide restaurant style dining for those busy healthcare providers and guests who may be visiting the hospital. So October 11th, 2021, this year was Indigenous Peoples Day. So what inspired you to look into that holiday and then partake in it through making entrees for people to try? How did you come up with that idea to participate? And then what was your approach?
Yeah, I've just been really interested in the food. I came across the Tribal Alliance group with Lucy Rachel, and she has been an amazing resource for me. We've talked a lot about connecting me with some of the Indigenous peoples in the area. Basically, just me wanting to do this was me wanting to tap into my own roots, feeling like there's something more that I can touch on for myself and bring my experience forward with that.
What do you feel like you maybe unearthed within yourself while you were speaking with these tribes, and which tribes did you speak with? Who did you get to meet?
I got to meet a couple of the upper tribesmen of the Lumi tribe and um, the upper Skagit tribe. And just through connecting with them, I felt just, I guess, a reconnection with my grandparents. I lived with them for quite a while when I was younger. And so I grew up around fry bread and fish on cedar planks. And we would build teepees in the backyard for, just for fun. And really talking to these women and hearing their stories, stories about their family, it just touched me in a way that inspired me to want to tap more into those roots.
Were you able to cook with them?
I wasn't able to cook with them, but we have connected in a way to where they're going to work on getting me into courses to do more indigenous cooking through the Native American college up here.
Wow, that is really
Yeah.
cool. So, what ultimately did you choose to feature for your Indigenous Day entrees?
We stuck with very local ingredients that you could go out and just procure here in the forest. We have fiddlehead ferns. We did some local salmon, morel mushroom cream sauce, and then potatoes, which is just a root vegetable that the Native Americans used to grow back in the day.
When you were making this, how was it received in the cafe? What did people think when they tried it?
It was amazing. It was received so well in our own home as well as the other cafes across the network. And the Indigenous people themselves were very honored by it because we sourced local ingredients that were from what their forefathers would have eaten.
How did our teams go about making it's probably a little bit new. I mean, it is kind of an extra consideration that we're doing this special entree for a special day. Did you practice? Did your teams have questions? Was it a learning experience as well?
Yes, whenever I do stuff like this, I bring all of my cooks into it. So they were all very involved. We do a lot of product identification, teaching them different ways to cook things. It was cool getting to connect with the other leaders in the network too, the other chefs, getting to get their input on product availability. What's a good sub that would be another local ingredient? And yeah, it was a good collaboration between all of us.
It's interesting that you were able to participate in such a it's a really timely holiday to get involved with. So if someone wanted to get involved with trying a different celebration out and doing that using food as the avenue to do that, what would you tell them to get started? Like, is there research that you would encourage them to do? Go with like their passion. Your roots led you to this idea.
Definitely research. I've done a lot of research on the indigenous tribes that are local because I've had other experience with tribes elsewhere, like in Shelton. And so, just a lot of research, a lot of networking with the people within our system that I know can put me with the people I need to talk to. Um, I go to local markets in the area just so I can make sure I'm getting the freshest, most indigenous ingredients possible. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I would just say anybody that wants to go out and really pursue that passion, just go for it. Um, I myself, it was a little daunting in the beginning because it's a lot of responsibility. Just putting your name out there, putting yourself out there. It might not go well. It could go great. And so it's very scary, but it's such a relief and it's such an incredible, fulfilling feeling to be able to connect with people just like you spoke through food. You know, that's how we all connect. It's a language of its own. And I would definitely encourage anybody to just follow that passion and connect with those in the organization within Thomas Cuisine too, because it's such a supportive organization. I definitely couldn't do what I do without the support of those around me.
That's really good input. And I really like that regional we source our food regionally anyway for the start of our recipes. So when we're making dishes, we try to eat within the season and within the region that we're serving so that we because we're serving patients and we're serving for not only nutrition but for taste as well. So that's a lot of why we like to make sure that our items are fresh as possible, and that's usually because they come from the regions that we're serving in. So that's a really great starting block. I like that. And then, of course, like our teams are usually pretty willing to jump in and roll up their sleeves and try something new. So when you think about food and think about your passions and why you do what you do, what would you say your biggest passion is around food and how you show up every day? What helps you show up every day in this way, which is really authentic, by the way. I mean, it looks like you're living your, you know, a higher calling when it comes to what you're doing for your job. It ties into your roots. It ties into your interests. It seems like you're interested in your food and where it comes from. Plus, that tie to your father. So, what's that driving passion for you?
The thing that keeps me going is basically my hunger for wanting to learn more. I've developed recently a love of like fresh healing herbs, and I want to try and encourage, incorporate that in what we do for the patients as well as what we do out in the cafe. And my passion is just wanting to come in and do better every day and bring the love that I have for food to fruition and inspire those around me. And that's just what drives me. It's just simply because I love doing what I do.
That's great. So, when you look at, I mean, I hate to say it, but our year's almost up. It seems like it's gone so fast this year. But when you look into the winter and spring and all the different flavors that that brings, where do you think you want to try and go with your cuisine and maybe even those studies if you get to work, at the college or anything? What would you want to feature or dive into more?
I definitely want to start a healing garden. That's my goal for the upcoming year. We have a dedication tree out back, which is where we did our Indigenous recognition. And so we talked about taking that space and turning it into a healing garden and also having more beds around the cafe where we can grow tomatoes and we can grow more vegetables like that and just bringing that freshness to what we do here to show people that you don't always have to live through the grocery store really to be sustainable is just to look in your own backyard and be open to trying new things.
That's really impressive. I mean, that's interesting that you can scale. So you mentioned growing your own gardens, having those on-site gardens, even at the healthcare facility itself. So, and then if we're speaking about indigenous, these historically utilized crops that are available regionally, how does that scale within an operation? Like, how do you also serve patients and the cafe? Like, is that enough? How do you balance that procurement portion?
Yes, we would definitely have to look at our quantities. We're very blessed here because we are a smaller hospital, so I feel like we have more availability to do things like this versus another facility where they're serving 300 patients a day. Um, but for our little operation, I foresee definitely some of the fresher herbs going towards the patients, some of the more finer vegetables. Some things I wanted to look at was even growing camas root, camas bulb, something that used to be very plentiful in the area. Now you can hardly find it. And so just bringing back some of those indigenous things and then trying to incorporate them into what we do.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really exciting, and I'd love to see that come through for you. That's such a whole foods approach to how we try to approach our services, and that's through real food where it's ingredients that you can recognize that are fresh because that's what gives us the optimal nutrition. Like every time we eat, it's our chance to aid our health.
Exactly.
So we can eat super processed fast foods that are usually all beige and not very flavorful, and in the moment it might be kind of satisfying, but then afterwards you don't typically feel as good. Whereas you have that super colorful plate when you come to one of our kitchens, I feel like I'm always confident when I eat at our locations because I know that the ingredients are really fresh. I know it was made from scratch. I have a lot of confidence when I get to dine and and eat something that our chefs have made. So I really enjoy that.
That's awesome.
Well, Jillian, is there any last ideas that you'd like to give us around food or exploring our regions or just kind of your approach when it comes to how you manage your kitchen and your teams and the food that you're responsible for?
I mean, I love the corporation. Especially recently, I'm really starting to get to know everybody and get into things. And just this networking that we have with this amazing group of culinary professionals. I've been speaking with other people, and everybody has a lot of amazing ideas. And I think just keep collaborating and trying to bring those passions to light, and that's what's going to keep separating us from everybody else. And it keeps inspiring those around us too, I think.
I think it absolutely does, and I appreciate that viewpoint. I'm glad that you had the courage to go out on a limb and try something different and put yourself out there and know that like you said, this could go great. It could be a total flop. And I think that you were absolutely successful in trying this celebratory entree, and it was educational. It looked amazing, and I can't wait to see what else comes from your cafe. I really look forward to it. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much.
much. Thank you.
Jillian, have a good rest of your day. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Holly.
Thank
Bye.
you.